The story starts in the year 1990, where we see an old man, on the verge of passing away from several severe wounds, checking out his surroundings. He sees that everyone around him are in very deeply injured condition like him. He feels like after everything he did, nothing ended up changing and he still couldn't protect what was valuable to him. As time slowly winds down on his life, he accepts the fact that this is how his life will come to an end. Coming to the core of the story, we see an old man on his birthday, eating lunch with his business partners and co-workers at a meeting. One of his fellow co-workers insists that he has something special like jjajangmyeon, which is a Korean delicacy for a special day of his life. However, the old man says that he doesn't want to eat anything more and decides to get up and end the meeting abruptly. Everyone asks him why he is ending the meeting so abruptly. After all, they had just started it. But the old man tells them that there are kids waiting for him, so he promises to have a meeting with them at another time. The old man is the boss of the Taesung Group, a well-known organization in South Korea, named Kang Deokbi. Then we see Mr. Kang inside his car, talking to someone he thinks of as a son of his, the second in charge of the Taesung Group, Cheon Dooho. Mr. Kang asks Cheon Dooho about how the latest business partnership of theirs have been going, to which Cheon Dooho says that it has been going well and the construction for the site is already underway. Cheon Dooho then suggests to Mr. Kang that he should probably pay a visit to his family that is nearby on his 50th birthday. Mr. Kang misses his family and part of him wants to do it. However, he goes against the suggestion and instead opts to meet the people waiting for him at the hotel, who he refers to as his real family. Meanwhile, back in the meeting room, the meeting is concluded and the participants are talking about what kind of person Mr. Kang Deokbi is. They discuss how Mr. Kang is dedicated to his organization. He thinks every member as his family. He always treats everyone with love, whether they're new or old. Mr. Kang always meets up with each and every member of his de facto family every year and go over them one by one and address all of their problems and spends the day with them. Back in the hotel, we see that Mr. Kang Deokbi is indeed doing that, asking every member that ever joined his group about their life and their needs, and also provides them with the resources they require. Mr. Kang is told that he is done talking to each and everyone, and so he goes up on the stage to give a speech to his beloved family members. Mr. Kang Deokbi thanks everyone for coming to the celebration of the 50th birthday of his old self. He thanks everyone for being a part of his family and wishes that they continue to grow and live earnestly as they have done so far. Mr. Kang then notices a new face in the party and invites the youngster over to the stage. He asks the new boy if he is new to the group, to which the boy replies by saying that he is. Mr. Kang then asks the boy how old he is. The boy says that he is 15. This makes this boy by far the youngest person in their group, and Mr. Kang asks him about his parents. The boy says he has no idea about his parents, whether they're alive or not, because he has always been alone. Mr. Kang then accepts the boy as a member of his family and says that this day is now more happier because not only is it his birthday, but also the day where he found a new family member. And as he is happy and is rejoicing the moment, the kid stabs Mr. Kang Deokbi in the midriff with a knife. This then starts an all-out rampage where we see dozens and dozens of assailants armed with a decently sized knife come forth and start stabbing the members of the Taesung group. One of them try to reach and attack the already wounded Mr. Kang. However, Cheon Dooho intercepts and beats him down. Cheon Dooho then suggests Mr. Kang to leave for the hospital. The fight continues all the while. Taesung group trying their best to fight against armed opponents at a time when they weren't even prepared to do so, and they try their best. However, the knife advantage is too much. Mr. Kang joins in on the fight and takes out a few people on his own. Mr. Kang then tells Cheon Dooho that he cannot leave his children fighting on their own, and that he must fight with them till the end and protect them. And so on, Mr. Kang uses his experience and strength to keep fighting despite his wound, and Cheon Dooho also using his taekwondo kicks to fight off the attackers. One of the attackers tries to stab Mr. Kang in the back, but they're intimidated by his presence and the gangster tattoo he has on his back. Mr. Kang Deokbi turns around and tells him that it would have been better if the attacker didn't just look and stabbed him too. Just at that moment, another attacker stabs a different part of the lower abdomen of Mr. Kang with his knife, to which Mr. Kang adds that he should have stabbed him like this one. The fight eventually ends and the Taesung group are all left with heavy, and in some cases mortal injuries. Mr. Kang's adoptive son, Park Dae-san, arrives to the scene and sees his father in the final moments of his life. Park Dae-san asks Chong Doo-ho to take his father to the hospital, but Chong Doo-ho says that he tried his best, but the man refused to take medical care, and now it is a little too late for that. Mr. Kong says that it is okay and that he really wanted to see Park Dae-san before closing his eyes. Mr. Kong then tells everyone to live and support each other like family even though there is no blood relationship. He then hands over the reins of the Taesung group to Chong Doo-ho before closing his eyes for the final time. However, his eyes suddenly open up and he sees a young kid and some beat-up people. He wonders how he is seeing this as he is not alive. He asks the kid what is going on, but he hears that they are people who collect money and hand it over to the Taesung group. This shocks Mr. Kong as he didn't know his Taesung group was doing this. Mr. Kong then realizes that the world he is in now is vastly different from the one he was in before. Later, we see Mr. Kong in his new form, and his partner in crime go to the office of the Taesung group. There, Mr. Kang's partner tells the boss that the collection of money got messy and a fight had ensued where his partner got hurt in the head and that his partner has been acting very differently ever since. Meanwhile, Mr. Kong wonders whether he is in a dream right now or if the previous life of his was the dream all along. He wonders how he is back to life after passing away. Nothing makes sense. However, more importantly, he doesn't understand how an organization like the Taesung group has fallen off so much. That they're collecting money from innocent weak people by threatening them. Mr. Kang's partner asks for better treatment because of his partner getting hurt, and the boss says that they will get it if they do their job well. They shouldn't care about anything and just focus on getting money back from those people. This angers Mr. Kong and he grabs the collar of the new boss and pulls on it. He asks the boss about who gave him the right to run this organization like this way. He asks what has happened to Doo-ho and Dae-san. However, Mr. Kang's partner pulls him off of the boss and cites his recent head injury as to why he is being aggressive and attacking the boss. Mr. Kong is mad and wants a piece of the boss, however his partner somehow drags him out of there before causing too many issues. He tells Mr. Kong that they need to talk. Fast forward, we see that Mr. Kong and his partner go to their apartment. Mr. Kong is confused and wonders why he was brought here of all the places. The partner tells him that he should have done better at controlling himself and should have endured it no matter how bad it felt, especially after he told to him that he wants to work in the underworld. Mr. Kong listens to all of this and simply asks back his partner if it is okay in any way to torture the weak and suck their money off of them. The partner says that gangsters aren't working employees like others and they won't get paid for so easily. However, Mr. Kong says that while he understands his point, but he doesn't understand why they're using the Taesung group's name to do so. He says that he didn't raise his children in this manner. His partner doesn't understand this and asks what happened to Lee Tae-jun for him to act like this when he was more of a gangster than him before all this. Mr. Kong says that he must have made a mistake because his name is Kong Deokbi and that his partner is like the same age as his son. His partner grabs his face and says that he is younger than him before turning his face to the mirror where Mr. Kong sees his new face for the first time and wonders who it is. He can't recognize the young man he has become. Mr. Kong Deokbi is now Lee Tae-jun. His partner asks if he was acting all weird this whole time because he was embarrassed of his face, but Lee Tae-jun, we will refer to him as that from now on, notices that he doesn't even have a similar body structure or the special back tattoo of his. The partner asks if he is pretending to be suffering from amnesia now, before he notices that Lee Tae-jun is very distressed and asks if he really doesn't remember. He then tries to help him by telling him that his name is Hwang Tae-ha and he is 26 years old, and that he is Lee Tae-jun and he is 23 years old. He informs him that they're in March of 2022. This part shocks Lee Tae-jun as he passed away in the 1990s in his past life as Kong Deokbi. He doesn't know what explanation is to the phenomena of him being reborn in this new body. Is he a ghost? Hwang Tae-ha then asks for his phone. However, Lee Tae-jun doesn't know what a phone is. Hwang Tae-ha shows him what a phone is and says that if he is acting, then this will get him in tons of problems. He then checks his phone and sees that he really doesn't have anyone close to him, no family, no friends. Hwang Tae-ha then suggests that he shouldn't go to work in this current state as that will only cause issues for him. However, Lee Tae-jun is adamant on going to work as he knows that they are working as errand boys and money collector at the Taesung group, and he wants to know more about the organization. He wants to go to work right away. However, they hear a knock on the door and Tae-ha opens it up. They see that it's the landlord and Hwang Tae-ha is embarrassed because he can't pay the whole rent to him. But the landlord is nice and says that they're young, so they shouldn't take it too hard and pay it back slowly. Besides, he wasn't there to take the rent. Instead, he had some boiled sweet potatoes and he didn't have anyone to share it with, so he had brought them to eat together with the young lads. Tae-ha is grateful and they end up having a conversation and eat the food together. Later on, we see that Lee Tae-jun and Hwang Tae-ha are at work in the Taesung Group's office and they're given the duty to collect money from someone. They get to know from a senior that they're going to be taking money from a harder target this time. And so Hwang Tae-ha tells Lee Tae-jun to be cautious and not screw up anything like last time. He also says that he will support Tae-jun with stuff until he regains his memory. Later on, we see them going on duty to recollect the money from someone, and to the surprise of Tae-ha and Tae-jun, they're taking it back from the landlord of their house. The landlord is an old man and they barge into the house, saying that the old man's son had taken a huge loan and hasn't returned it. However, maybe his father will be the one paying it back. We then see a peek into the conversation they had the night before when the old man informed them how much the house means to him, because the memories of his late wife and his son who lives independently now is always there. And that is why he doesn't leave the house despite being lonely. So when the thug tried to make him sign papers to hand over the rights to sell the house, it breaks him down. The thug says that he will only take back the money his son owes to them and return the rest of the money they make from the sale. The old man begs for them to not go after his house as that means the world to him. However, that doesn't stop the thug, and he ends up punching the elderly man because he was annoying him. The thug tries to attack even more, but Hwang Tae-ha stops his senior from doing so. He says that they shouldn't do something like this after barging into the man's house. This pisses off the senior and he is about to punch Hwang Tae-ha, but Lee Tae-jun steps in and grabs his arm, stopping him from doing so. He tells the thug that Tae-ha is correct and that doing something like that could get the police involved and get them into big trouble. The thug tries to get out of Tae-jun's grip, but it is too strong and eventually gives up. Back at the office, we see the boss slapping and beating up the thug for not being able to collect back the money and getting scared by the police despite being affiliated with the Taesung Group. He then asks for who had stopped the thug from continuing and Tae-ha says that it was him, but Lee Tae-jun also ends up saying that it was him who stopped the thug. The boss says that Tae-jun has been bothering him since last time and he wants to have some talk with him in private. Tae-jun says that he can hear him from here too and refuses to talk privately. This angers the boss and he walks up to Tae-jun himself and slaps him repeatedly for doing what he did. However, Tae-jun just smirks and says that he doesn't understand why they have to do things like torturing the weak for money and why he is tarnishing the name of the organization like that. Tae-jun then grabs the boss' arm and twists it viciously, making the boss fall down to his knees. He then tells the boss that he has no right to lead this organization when he is so weak and that the organization has always been led by strong men. He then also reveals the messy tattoo of a tiger on the boss' hands and says that the tattoo holds no meaning. It shows one of two things: either the tattoo is fake and holds no significance to him, or the organization is in shambles for it to be on the body of such weak and evil men. Lee Tae-jun then pins the boss down against his desk and says that he is glad that he is not a real member of the organization, hence the messy tattoo. Hwang Tae-ha then tells Tae-jun to stop and asks what does he even intend to do with these things. Right then, the boss yells out at the other thugs, asking if they'll just stand there and watch him getting beaten up. One of the thugs is fired up by this and he runs in to attack Lee Tae-jun and free the boss. However, Tae-jun just simply turns around and throws a devastating punch to knock him down right there. This punch sends shockwaves throughout the room as the atmosphere has completely changed upon seeing the power that Lee Tae-jun possesses. Tae-jun then asks everyone if they're really gonna act up and defend a man who is worse than an animal. It's good being loyal, but if you're loyal to this guy, you must come forward and fight Tae-jun. Then we see a car arriving to the office and see a few Taesung Group members walking out of it in their suits. They look like they're in a hurry as they walk upstairs. They are talking about how they'll be screwed up if they can't get the collection of money right soon, and so they enter the office room only to see the carnage that was caused by Lee Tae-jun. They ask them if they all beat up their group member like that, to which Tae-jun replies by saying that he did it on his own. The main guy says that he was going to clean up this office anyway today, however, because Tae-jun beat up the guy who was a member of his group until now, he wants to teach Tae-jun a lesson for it. Tae-jun asks him if he is a member of the Taesung Group, to which the guy says that he is surprised that Tae-jun came to fight them despite knowing that. Tae-jun then asks the guy to stop talking and take off his clothes so that he can check if he is a real member with a proper tattoo, or one with a fake one like the dude from earlier. The main guy then orders his stooges to go ahead and beat up Tae-jun. One of the stooges jumps in with a flying knee. However, Tae-jun sidesteps and grabs his head to smash him down to the ground. The next guy runs in as well, but Tae-jun just delivers a simple punch to him to counter his momentum against him. Tae-jun then crouches down on the next person running in towards him. He grabs a hold of his clothes and pivots to drag his body up and slam it down to the floor. This leaves the main guy to go up against Tae-jun. The guy praises Tae-jun's skills, but states that Tae-jun isn't good enough to beat him up yet. Tae-jun responds by saying that the guy is nowhere near his level. The guy then steps forward to deliver a boxing punch, but Tae-jun crouches down and punches the guy in the ribs from the side. He then tells him that there is a big gap in their skill level, as he delivers another shot which was blocked by the guy. The guy understands that he can't keep blocking him, as even doing that hurts him too much. Tae-jun then grabs a hold of his head before hitting his head with his own with force and beating him down. Others look at him and wonder just how much of a monster this guy is. Tae-jun checks the guy's body to find a proper tiger tattoo on his left pec, confirming that it's a real member. Tae-jun then also sees the guy's phone ringing and tells Tae-ha that his thing is going off making beep beep sounds. Tae-ha realizes that it's a call and tells him it's a phone ringing. Tae-jun asks if they can control his superiors using this phone, to which Hwang Tae-ha asks just how much trouble he wants to create for them. Then we see more cars arrive to the office building as a bunch of the Taesung group's members show up for what happened. They enter and are welcomed by Tae-jun. The lower-level members are all angry and are demanding an answer from Lee Tae-jun. However, the higher-up member stops them from shouting, and instead opts for a calm approach. The people who got beat up earlier apologize to this higher-up member and he says it's fine. He sits down and praises Tae-jun for being so young and still being able to fight a strong man like Seokdi. Lee Tae-jun says that he doesn't want to stretch this talk too much and says that he wants to join the Taesung group. The man politely tells him that after beating up so many of their members, he wants to join that group. It doesn't work that way. The man understands what Tae-jun says, but says that it's still too early for them. He barely knows him and doesn't know if he can trust him to be a member. Tae-jun explains by saying that he just beat up people who were running an illegal side business without the main organization's knowledge, so it's not like they want to hang over on people like that. While Tae-jun didn't think they'd be able to communicate normally, and that's why he did it. However, they're communicating now, so it's fine. He then asks the person if he knows about Cheon Duho. This shocks the higher-up member as he immediately takes Tae-jun to the car to talk in private. He asks Tae-jun where he got to know that name from. Tae-jun says that he did some research about the organization to get into it. The man then explains to Tae-jun that there might be problems if he adds Tae-jun to the organization after what he did, so instead he would like to give Tae-jun an indirect job under him for now. He then warns Tae-jun, saying that if a young man like him wants to join the underworld, he should think about his family and close ones as they might get in trouble, so might want to fix that beforehand. 3 days later, we see that Tae-jun is lying down at the house given to him by the man and still thinking about what he said and thinks about his old family as Kang Deokbi. Tae-ha asks Tae-jun just what he said to the man that made him give him such a job and trust him. However, Tae-jun instead asks Tae-ha if he knows where Baek Ha-dong is, and if he will take him there. Then we see Lee Tae-jun and Hwang Tae-ha in the small town of Baek Ha-dong. Tae-ha keeps asking why he came to this town and whether or not he has someone he wants to see from this place. Tae-jun doesn't answer as he is drowned in his thoughts. He wonders how much the face of his wife has changed from 30 years ago back when he was still Kang Deokbi. Just at that moment, he sees an elderly woman talking to a young girl about going to a meat restaurant and trying out the meat there. The woman was unmistakably his wife from the past. This brings back some traumatic memories of when there was something very gruesome he went through in front of her and his child. Then, his wife told her that their child was not talking ever since he saw that, and that she gets the chills whenever she sees him, and while it might be very hard on their child to not see the father, it's what they have to do. Lee Tae-jun instinctively tries to call out to her but stops himself and says that he took the wrong path and gets away from her and hides in a corner with Hwang Tae-ha. Tae-ha still keeps asking him about what he said to the man inside the car to convince him to get the job. Meanwhile, we see that man talking to someone he set up to keep an eye on Tae-jun. He learns that he hasn't done anything unusual for the last 3 days except for going out to eat. He then wonders if he should keep an eye on him for longer or just go forward with the test himself. We then see that on his desk, It's written that his name is Cheon Sung-jin, someone who is potentially related to Cheon Doo-ho. Then we get to see the first stage of the test. The thugs from before who worked as money collectors apologize to Tae-ha and Tae-jun, and they get back their job with them. The office will now be run by Lee Tae-jun. This is the job given to him by CEO Cheon Sung-jin. As they are setting up, Sung-jin calls Tae-jun and asks him to do the first job for him. Tae-jun asks if it's a money collecting job, and if so, is it a job where they want him to use force to get back money from someone? He then hangs up the call and informs the squad that they need to go on a money collecting job. Fast forward to when they arrive at the place to collect the money, we see the man who they are supposed to collect money from, Mr. Kim, is there, planning to give the money to someone else. However, that is when the squad gets in and starts showing violent sides to them to threaten Mr. Kim to get back the money they owe to the Taesung group. The thugs from before try to take it further, but Tae-jun tells them to stop, and he informs Mr. Kim that they don't want to use violence to get back the money. Then we get a peek into the full call conversation between Tae-jun and Sung-jin, where Sung-jin tells him that they need to collect money for Mr. Kim's CO bag. He isn't a poor, weak man. Instead, he is someone who runs a gambling circuit. He has taken several loans from the Taesung group and used that money to get a building to make an illegal gambling spot, and has been extorting money from others to increase the capital. Not only that, he used his father and mother-in-law's assets to get university loans, as he runs out of money quickly from his own gambling habit. So Sung-jin orders Tae-jun and his boys to retrieve at least the principal loan money at all costs and do whatever it takes to do so. However, after the call is hung up, Sung-jin tells his assistant that the guy has also taken a loan from the Hyeonkyol group, a group almost as strong as Taesung group, and that they'll be collecting money from Mr. Kim too. So if Tae-jun and his squad crosses over to their territory, there will be a conundrum, and he wants to see how that all plays out. And just like that, we see that the Hyeonkyol group are also there, and they are very mad after seeing Taesung group's people there too. Tae-jun is a bit taken aback, as he wasn't informed about something like this happening. The thugs from the Hyeonkyol group are mad at them for stepping into their territory, and so they decide to launch an attack on Tae-jun and his squad. However, the several thugs from the Hyeonkyol group are no match for Tae-jun, as he uses his fighting skills to punch and kick each of them away. Tae-jun then tells his squad that he feels that they are stronger than these guys, and so they also join in on the fight. It's an all-out brawl, and Taesung group, with the help of Lee Tae-jun, takes the upper hand. But just as it seems like they're gonna win, the main thug from Hyeonkyol group takes the thug who attacked the landlord under hostage. He tells Tae-jun to drop down on his knees and surrender. The rest of the thug are shocked when they see that Tae-jun is willing to drop down for someone who was against him not long ago. After Tae-jun drops his guard, the thug orders one of his lackeys to attack him with a stick. The lackey hits Tae-jun's head so hard that the stick breaks. However, Tae-jun is unfazed by it and asks what they'll do next. The thug orders the lackey to hit harder with another stick. Just when he is about to do that, Hwang Tae-ha comes from behind and hits the main thug with a fire extinguisher to the head to drop him down. The thug is livid and calls Taesung group cowards for attacking from behind. However, Tae-jun calls him a coward for approaching the situation violently when he asked them to solve it together, and says that they need some special education from the man Lee Tae-jun himself.